Well, hello, this is AAMI News and Conversation. I'm Amanda Benedict, AAMI Vice President of Sterilization, and we are here at the AAMI Exchange in Long Beach, California. Joining me today is Arthur Dumba, and Arthur, I will give you a chance to introduce yourself.
Hi, my name's Arthur Dumba from the Society of Sterility Assurance Professionals. I'm General Manager and Director of the association, and it's a not-for-profit organization, and I was one of the founders of the society.
And Arthur, you're giving a talk today about what SAP is doing to create a framework for talent development for sterility assurance professionals.
Yes, correct, because a lot of the standards talk about requirements of experience, of training, of skills, and currently for those that work in sterility assurance or are responsible for sterility assurance, currently have no roadmap of how to achieve these skills, how to demonstrate they have the skills and experience to the regulators and required authorities to meet the standards.
And I remember hearing about this effort a few years ago. I think it was probably around 2017, where it was really starting to become apparent that there were standards and regulations that were requiring evidence of competence of industrial sterilization professionals, but no real framework to provide that evidence, to define what competence is.
Correct, because whenever I speak to anyone, even from my experience, I always ask them, how did you get into the industry? And 100% of the answers have been, I just fell into it. How did you know what you need to know? I don't know. My boss just told me what I needed to do, and from there I worked with AAMI, you worked with ASTM, I worked with whoever. And so what we're trying to do is create a structured learning pathway, a framework that sterilization professionals can use to build their skills and experiences and knowledge around the requirements of sterility assurance.
So tell us a little bit about the components. So which areas would you expect to have sterility assurance professionals demonstrate competence? What modalities, for example, or specialization areas?
Well, we have a number of modalities that we're creating frameworks for: radiation, microbiology, aseptic processing, moist heat, ethylene oxide, packaging. Although it sounds outside the framework, it's a critical part of the sterile barrier. And one of the areas we're also starting to look into is biocompatibility, because we were talking to the industry and they were saying, well, if you sterilize, you've got to demonstrate that your medical device it's still biocompatible. And when I spoke to the biocompatibility industry, they say, well, we just kind of like work our way around what we need to know and what we don't need to know. So all these are a part of the package in order to build these skills and define frameworks. So we're all working from the same baseline, and we all know what we need to understand and know within our specific field of sterilization.
Yeah, the biocompatibility is a really big component, because it's not just sterilization residuals, it's also material compatibility as well.
Correct. And it's one of the things, for example, in radiation, whenever I asked, the standard clearly says your medical device should be able to, you must understand the maximum acceptable dose. Most organizations that I've come across have said, show me evidence of how you've decided 50 kilogray, 60 kilogray. Well, it's just what we've always used. It's been grandfathered in. So it's, again, one of those things that is part of the radiation curriculum. You need to understand what this requirement is and what skills you need to in order to demonstrate you meet these requirements.
So tell us a little bit about what SfSAP is doing today and what the roadmap is, what the future looks like.
Well, SfSAP today, we have a lot of the frameworks in place. And what we're focusing on now is education delivery organizations. How can we engage with the education delivery organizations to make sure they're giving a good quality of training, not just read a manual, not just watch a WebEx or a YouTube video? How can we better engage with the audience to fully understand that they have truly understood they know the science, they understand the science, they can apply the science,
And that's important.
and they can execute the science. And this isn't just for people that work in the industry. One of the things I found also is auditors. How do you know your auditor is technically competent? Because auditors go on courses to learn how to audit. But how do they learn the technical requirements of the modality or the thing they're auditing? And this applies to both sides of the fence. So not just people that work in the industry, but people who audit us.
And really important distinction for competence is that it is that ability to apply. It's not just the technical knowledge, it's the application of the technical knowledge. There have been a lot of experts involved in developing these frameworks.
Correct. We've had a lot of experts who've been in the field for many, many years. And they also agreed that actually some of their knowledge that they have can be imparted through these frameworks, so that these experiences, we call them, aren't lost. Right. And we can learn from this experience, because the difficulty and the challenge comes is when we hit a gray area, when we hit an area where you now have to use your experience to find a different way to apply the science, particularly with movement into combination devices. Previously, it was very separate between pharmaceutical and medical devices, but now those two industries are coming together. And it's very important that those people sterilizing or designing these medical devices or combination devices understand the science in order to put a sterile combination device on the market.
So that's also really important, these changes in technology and being able to take these concepts, the science behind it, and be able to apply that as things evolve.
Correct. And one of the things we're working on in the background is working with the standards, because the standards tell you what to do. And when you read the standard, at the very end, you have guidance documents, which are very good and very useful. But what this has led us to believe is once we have the foundations and the frameworks and people understand the standards a lot better, how can we better guide people to these guidance documents, which AAMI has a lot of, to apply that science and give a rationale as to why you've done something that way, because you have taken the guidance document in order. So linking the guidance document to specific clauses in the standards, because the guidance documents are very broad. So let's say I'm a radiation specialist, so let's say maximum acceptable dose. Which guidance document do I go to? Which section within the guidance documents can support me in doing this? And this is where the frameworks and learning outcomes and experiences suddenly come together, because those two areas now join together in order to deliver what you need.
I really love the idea of the experts who have had these long careers, being able to give back, to share that knowledge and to help bring people up and help them develop their careers using these frameworks.
Absolutely. And one of the beauties, for example, of AAMI Exchange is the people coming into the industry can come here and meet these people and ask them the questions, and then follow up by the expert saying, well, I work on an AAMI standards committee, I'm part of the SfSAP, and this is where you can go to find out more. These are the people you can ask, because we're all a community aiming for the same thing. And collaboration is very important to us at SfSAP.
Oh, critically important to have the collaboration within the industry.
Absolutely, because collaboration encourages growth. Sure. Because as standards change, as medical devices evolve, this collaboration is important to make sure both are keeping up with what's happening in the real world, and more importantly, delivering what the patient needs.
Absolutely. So I have one more question for you, which is how would companies or individual industrial sterilization professionals or notified bodies engage in the work that SfSAP is doing?
Well, we have a number of working group chairs. For example, we're just starting up a regulatory liaison group, And what we're trying to do is encourage regulators to get involved, firstly to understand what SfSAP is about and why it's important that regulators understand technically the science and why they should be engaged in supporting this, because we all need to be starting from the same baseline and judging each other against the same technical competencies.
Absolutely. Well, really exciting work underway. I'm thrilled that you're here to share this information with us and look forward to what lies ahead for it.
Thank you very much.